friends. I hope everyone is doing really well. I wanted to give a quick shout out. I saw some really cool color blocking from Cassandra and Levi. I think Oliver and Leo, I think I saw yours on Facebook. I saw Charlotte and Charlotte's little brother Luke's. It was a real pleasure to see all of your creative art. So last week we did abstract, and we are going to continue to do abstract. So we're going to do Kandansky art. He is kind of the father of abstract art, people would consider. And so for this week, what we need is paper, whatever kind of paper you want to use. I'm going to use white paper because it was the study of color. So I'm going to focus your white piece of paper. You're going to want crowns, colored pencils, colored paper, markers, watercolor, anything that you want to do, because this is really all about the exploration of color and how they mix together. So I'm going to use mine. I'm going to make 4. The artwork, the original artwork that we're kind of copying, has 12 squares. So what I'm going to do, again, see, I recycle. I'm going to fold my paper in half. So then you can kind of see there's a line there. I'm going to fold it in half in the other direction. So when I open it up, I kind of have rectangles instead of squares, but we're going to make this work. So I'm going to start off and I'm going to show you. So I have, mine are more rectangles than squares, and this is kind of the exploration of how colors go together. So for the first one, I'm going to start as I'm going to use colored paper, and I'm going to cut out. So when we're looking at this artwork, it's originally squares followed by bunches of circles inside the square. And I will make sure to send a link to your parents. So, whoops, I didn't cut my square very straight. I'm going to glue my square down. And remember, if we're working with glue or paint or anything like that, always have an underlay to protect your parents' stuff. So I have a square. This is going to be my background here. And then what was inside are bunches of circles. And now I can choose to do the circles with crown or paint or colored paper or a mixture of both. It's really up to however you want to do it. So actually I think I'm going to do kind of a blue circle like this. So now I have a green square and kind of a blue circle. So I'm going to think of what other color do I want. And I think I'm going to do a pink circle. The really nice thing about this is that your circles are not supposed to be perfect circles, right? When you look at Kandansky's art, the circles blend kind of together. They're not all nice and neat, and he was really looking at color itself and how does color relate. Kandansky had a very special condition called, hold on. So I did my pink circle, and so what we're doing is we're looking at the color itself and kind of how it relates, green and the pink and the blue. Kandansky had a very interesting trait about him, and that was that he was a synesthete, which means that he heard colors and would see sounds. You know, typically you hear sounds and we see the colors. So he was all about looking at how the colors related to each other. And the color itself, you know, to him, it had a soul. We don't want it all to be very symmetrical. You want to add and change some color and see what you like and how you feel. So I know that I have this nice dark red here, which means my crowns aren't going to show up on it. So I'm going to use, I think, my paint marker, and I'm going to draw a circle. My paint marker here. I think I want to make it heavier on one side. I'm going to make it fade into that. And then I think I'm going to go back and add, it's very windy today, guys. And I'm going to add another. I'm going to kind of bring the green back right here, kind of in the middle. So when Kandinsky originally made his work, he used watercolor and crowns to make his. So, and some paint. I believe he also used paint. So I don't have any watercolor paint that I was going to pull out, but I do have watercolor pencils. And so I'm going to use a watercolored pencil, and I'm going to kind of make my square on the outside here. I'm going to make a yellow circle. And if you see when I'm making this, it's touching a little bit on the edges, and that's okay, because when I do my watercolor, the colors are all gonna blend together. The orange, let's do a different yellow and a different orange. At least I think I chose the right ones. And another yellow. Yeah, a little more yellow. And so with my watercolor pencils, I can take a brush, and I'm just adding water to my watercolor. I'm going to try to blend this stuff together a little bit. So my whole idea here is I'm just going to try to blend some of this together. But the best thing about art, and especially about doing this abstract art, is I can look at this and decide what it is that I don't really like. And I think it's this orange, these oranges blending together with these yellows are kind of making a brown. So I now know for my next one that I'm not going to want to do that. I'm going to want, let me see if I add some more blue here. I'm going to want to change it up a little bit. I have a yellow crayon, so maybe putting some yellow in here will help this pop out a little bit and kind of distinguish some of this. So I think I'm going to work on using, I want something to pop. And I'm feeling like orange is a nice, fun, happy color. When Kandinsky made his artwork, he was looking at it as the art and the color, in which it is, it has a soul. The color itself is its own entity, its own thing. So when we look at things and we think of like a cat or a dog being their own things, Kandinsky would look at color and be like, who is that color? What does that color represent? To me, today, orange is representing sunshine and happiness. So one of my favorite quotes by Kandinsky is his quote that said, "Imagination is what allows your mind to discover So what are you going to discover with your mind? And then you can use art to show what you have discovered. I'm going to cut out my circle. And I'm working intentionally to kind of make my circle sort of rough. I don't want it too rough, but what I'm going for is when I looked at his artwork closely, his circles kind of blend together, you know. In some ways they stick out, they're lopsided, you know, they don't always sit right in the center like these do. I think I want yellow again. So when I think of red, I think of like hot days, like a hot day, like the kind of day that you're at the beach or you're at the park and you need like a nice ice cold glass of ice water or a yummy fruit popsicle that you've made. So again, if you look at my circle, it's not perfect. So, you know, right now I'm just cutting it out, and I kind of like this color combination. I like it much better than I liked this. But I wonder how it would feel if I did red watercolor. So, I now have a nice, solid kind of circle here. Use my watercolor. See what happens when I blend them in. So I'm going to get my watercolor pencil wet itself. And there we go. I like this darker red that's coming out here. That's pretty. So much better. I like that very clear, defined red here. And then I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to go in the circle part here, and I think maybe I'm going to add a little bit of pink. Because now that I started thinking about nice, yummy fruit popsicles, I started thinking about fruit, and what I like with fruit. So it's all about kind of what does the color mean to you, and how do you see it coming together? What is it that you like? And that's one of the things that I love about art, is that there's no right way to do art. Art is about what it means to you when you make it. What do you feel? If you are able to get some creative energy out and create something that you personally like, then that's all that matters. So I've been mainly working, trying to stay within the same kind of color palette here, orange, reds, yellows. I think, like I said, I think I'm going to put a tiny little yellow circle in there. I think I would like that. So, when we're looking at this, we're looking at our different color combinations, right? So I've done kind of green and red and pink over here. I've done like some blues and some yellows here. I've done red and yellow and orange here. So I'm going to do something on this one. What am I going to do? I haven't used crowns very much, and let's see. I think maybe we'll try this. And I think I'm going to put this as my background here. So the idea, when it comes to choosing your colors, is that each color lives a life of its own. Right? When you look at this, you're looking at just the red, and then the yellow, and then red, and then orange, whoops, pink, then orange, and they're all on their own, individualized. We're looking at geometric shapes. So when you look at this, you don't see a cow or a house or a tree. You simply are seeing squares and circles, like so. And then I'm going to take my purple And I'm going to kind of fill in these lines. Over here. Alright, so black is the first time, and I kind of like that. And so what kind of colors stand out against black? Yellow, I think, would be a good color. That makes me think of a bumblebee. Red would be a good color, maybe. Blue. The nice thing about the color black that I like about it is that it tends to make whatever color you put it beside, like, pop. Like, it's like, woo! There it is. Make this, I think I'm gonna make it like this kind of circle. So I'm gonna make it bigger on this side a little bit. Circle here. And so this would be just a small representation of Kandaski's art, focusing on just color squares and then circles of color however you like them. You could use color paper and cut them up. You could use all crown or paint or colored pencil, or you could use a combination, you know, of all three. And you can make, so Kandaski's art, it was sectioned off with 12 different squares of this. So many color combinations that you could see. So you could choose to do 4, you could choose to do 6, you could choose to choose 9. It's whatever you would like to do. Alright guys, that's it for this week, so I will see you guys next time.